is over 4 billion years old. And human beings arrived on the scene about 300,000 years ago. So in the scale of 24 hours, we would have arrived about 6 seconds before midnight. And in those 6 seconds, the industrial age has occurred over a millisecond. So within the blink of an eye, we have arrived, and this is what we have achieved. After billions of years of ecological balance, we have come and wreaked havoc. We have polluted the waters and the air. We have contaminated the soils. We have seen the extinction of many species of plants and animals and fungi over our lifetime. We are hurting the planet. We are hurting Mother Nature. And we are the cause of this ecological imbalance. Our human activities are making life on Earth unsafe. This is what is called the Great Unraveling. And we don't have much time to turn the tide. 2030, in scientific terms, is a critical time. Because by 2030, if we have not halved our carbon emissions, if we have not reverted biodiversity loss, we're not going to have a very good future, and life on Earth might be extinct. But in response to the Great Unraveling, the late eco-philosopher Joanna Macy said that we have to be the ones bringing about the great turning. So we have a roadmap. We can turn the tide. If we stop the harm, if we create systems that nurture life, that care for life, and if we remember that we are nature. Because for now, we are still living with the belief that we are separate from nature, that somehow we are above and superior to nature, and that we are the masters of the planet. And there is nothing further from the truth. We are not separate from nature. We are nature. We are of the earth. We would not be alive if it wasn't for the earth. We are the children of the earth. Nature is not outside of us. We are within nature. And yet, we act as though nature is something that can be used and abused. Our laws treat nature as an object that can be used and abused. Our economy treats nature as a thing, as a resource that can be extracted and discarded. We are not in harmony with nature. And the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, said that humanity is waging a suicidal war on nature, and that the great task of the 21st century is for us to make peace. So I am here because I have the privilege to be an earth lawyer and a voice for nature in various organizations. And I would like to share with you the story of how, through earth law and corporate governance, we are learning to reframe our relationship with nature. And we are learning from the logic of the earth to make peace with nature. So we start with rights of nature. And the premise is quite simple. The earth is a living entity. It is not a thing, it is a being. And we are all together as a community of life. Earth, we are nature. Earth law promotes the recognition of the legal rights of nature to defend herself before the courts. And we do this through the constitutions, through legislation, and through case law. In 2008, Ecuador is the first country to have recognized the legal right of Mother Earth, of Pachamama, in its constitution. And this has been followed through other national laws and court rulings in Colombia and in Panama, for instance. In New Zealand, we have a rainforest, we have a river, and we have a mountain. All three entities have been recognized as having legal personhood through treaty agreements and following Maori cosmology. Legal personhood means that they can stand before the court to protect their integrity. And finally, in Spain, we have the Lagoon Mar Menor, the very first ecosystem in Europe to have been granted legal rights to exist, to restore itself, to protect itself, to regenerate. And we have guardians, human beings, who are empowered to step before the courts on behalf of the lagoon to protect the rights of this wonderful entity. So we are learning, but rights without responsibility remains a little bit like a toothless lion. So with rights comes responsibility. Rights of nature are about the legal recognition of nature's rights. But the responsibility to enforce and to protect the rights of nature is not enough. We also need to take on the responsibility to embed and to embody those rights, the understanding that nature is a living entity. So we need to learn from the logic of the earth, and we need to integrate that understanding in our decision-making. And this is what we did about 3 years ago. We had business founders and creative lawyers who came together to imagine, to reinterpret and repurpose the law in order to give corporate rights to nature through a seat, a vote, and a voice at the table. And this is the story of a British company called Faith in Nature, who in 2021 reached out to two organizations, the Earth Law Center in the US and Lawyers for Nature in the UK, and said, what if nature became our CEO? What would nature say? And that just sparked our creative thinking. In the UK, rights of nature are not yet recognized. Equally, there is no law in the UK that says you can't bring nature on the board. So we went with that. And we decided to reinterpret the Companies Act. So what it meant is that we could change the Articles of Association to change the objects of the company. So we created a position, a role for nature on the board. We created an obligation that was not just to the shareholders, but to nature as well, through two obligations. The obligation not to make decisions that can negatively impact nature, and the obligation to make decisions that promote the welfare and the well-being of nature. Nature, in that sense, is represented by a human being, nature as director. So it's not a nature director that will direct nature. It's nature directing the business, essentially. So the human being is not speaking on their behalf, they are speaking as nature. Now, since then, the Earth Law Center, in collaboration with BILAB Benelux and Neue Rode Business University, have created an onboarding nature toolkit. This is a guide for businesses and organizations who want to step on the journey themselves. And through that guide, we have identified 4 models for nature in governance. Nature as advisor, where nature gives advice and offers her wisdom. Nature as director, where nature has a vote and gets involved in the decision-making of the company. Nature as shareholder, which changes the model of ownership of the business so that directors and boards are now answerable to nature as the owner as well. And nature as inspiration. It's changing the constitutional documents, articles of associations, and mission statements to integrate nature consciousness within it. We have many more companies since then that have joined the journey. In the UK, we have House of Hackney, an interior design brand, where nature is a director and represents Mother Nature and future generations. We have Purpose Disruptors, which is a not-for-profit organization working to transform the advertising industry, and nature is an advisor on that board. In France, we have Gnosis, which is an IT services company where nature has 3 roles, actually. Nature is represented through its employees, nature is represented as a director, and nature is also represented as a shareholder. And then we have Palais de Tokyo, which is a museum of modern art in Paris, where nature is also on the board, representing future generations. So what we see here is the evolution from rights of nature in the courts to the voice of nature in companies, from principle to practice, from abstract to action. Now, I am often asked 2 key questions. Who can represent the voice of nature, and what is the impact of having nature on the board? With regards to who can represent nature, I would say everyone, every single one of us. We are human beings, we are nature. But what matters here is not our expertise or our specialism. What matters is wisdom and qualities. Because here's the thing, we have a lot of experts. We have a lot of knowledge, we have a lot of data, we have a lot of metrics. We know what we should be doing. Are we doing it? No. Because what we need is wisdom. The wisdom of the earth, the wisdom of the waters, the wisdom of the land. That's why indigenous, traditional, and ancestral wisdom is really important. That's why the people who tend the land, who work with the trees, who work with different kinds of animals, are the ones who understand the different voices of nature. So we need wisdom, and we need the right qualities, which is understanding as well that we are in relationality to the whole of life. So we need people with empathy and compassion and a deep sense of kinship with the whole of nature. Because the whole point is for us to be able to embody the logic of the earth, which is reciprocity, regeneration, and being in right relationship. With regards to impact, what is the impact of having nature on the board? I often cringe at that question because I know that, generally speaking, people are expecting hard data. I don't have hard data to give, not just yet. What I do have is soft, warm data. It's experiential, because it is experimental. The real change that is happening right now is cultural. The idea of nature on the board was planted just 3 years ago or so. Now, if you imagine that this is a seed that we're planting in the ground, the seed is not going to bear fruit straight away. Once it's in the ground, it has to grow its roots, and then it has to become a sapling and become strong before it can really develop and we can really benefit from the fruit. So the work that we're doing is at the root level, because the quality of the roots will determine the quality of the fruit. And the root level are the people. The impact lives in the heart of the people, at the heart of these organizations, because our organizations do not exist without us. They do not act on their own. They act because of the decisions of the very people within those organizations. So when people change, businesses change. This is the first level of evolution. And so we have 4 different roles for the voice of nature here. We have nature as guardian, which is the voice of protection, protecting the rights of nature, protecting the web of life. We have nature as agent, which is about advocacy and agency, making sure that the voice of regeneration and the logic of the earth is not only understood, but also applied. We have nature as auditor, which is the voice of accountability, so that we make sure that we count what matters, and what matters is what nurtures life. So we count in living terms. And then we have nature as designer, which is the voice of transformation, because we need to transform our businesses, our organizations as living systems. Onboarding nature is not a destination, it's a journey. And it's a journey of enlightenment, and it's a journey of relationship, and it's a journey of integrity. So we have 5 years left. Tick-tock. 5 years to change and to turn the tide. Already 6 out of the 9 planetary boundaries have been breached, meaning these are the parameters that ensure that life is safe on Earth. We're not in a safe zone anymore. The promise of the Paris Agreement to keep global warming within 1.5 degrees is already gone. Scientists are saying that we're aiming for 2.7, actually. If we carry on the way that we have done, we will not change. There is an expression: if we keep on doing what we've always done, we will always get what we always got. So we need to be different. We need to do things differently, and we can do this. So I would like to share with you a poem from one of my favorite poets, Naira Waheed. You do not have to be a fire for every mountain blocking you. You can be a water and soft river your way to freedom too. So my call to action for you, for all of us, is to be nature, to become a voice of nature in your homes, in your organizations, in your communities, in your businesses, to advocate for the rights of nature, for the rights of Earth as a living entity, and to bring nature on your boards so that we can make the best decisions possible for our future, so that we can make sure that 2030 will not be remembered as the year that we failed, but it will be remembered as the year by which the tide has turned. Thank you so very much.